I've been to Burning Man a couple of times, and some of my good friends here in town are burners. Long time ago, someone said, you should go to Burning Man. There's a lot of people like you there. I said, really? And then later I did go, and I said, oh my gosh, I'm home. Anyway, I've only been a couple of times, but here in town, there's the regional burn, and it's always just so fun. Just so fun. Well, it's coming up, and they've raised the ticket price to an considerable degree. It's like $150 for the extended weekend, whereas like several years back it was 60. Anyway, where it used to be was right here in Boulder City in a place called Bootleg Canyon, and it's a wash basin, like a storage basin kind of thing, and it's like a big crater. It is so perfect. It's got these walls, and it's close to the city, but it's isolated, and it was just so much fun. Well, they decided to move it up to Beatty. So to get up there is a huge ordeal. And even I figured it'd be about $700 for me to go up there with the ticket price and paying someone to be here and everything like that. I'm like, it's a little bit of money. Plus, some of my plants will die because my roommate never waters them all. So I was just kind of lamenting, and I've tried to be subtle and persuade the Big E. He's the one in charge. And, I don't know what's in his mind. He thinks it's best, and people do have a good time up there, there's no doubt. But the dance floor is like this cow pasture that's like this. It's not, it's not at all the same. Maybe I'm just being, no, I'm not just being nostalgic. It was better at Boulder City. He's sure it's better in Beatty, though. And I think part of it was, I think it might have been his pickup that ran a person over. No, they were behind the line, the fireworks line, laying with their head under the back of a truck. They were camped out under a pickup truck to watch the fireworks. Clearly, they should not have been there. But then I don't think the person died, but they got run over by a big truck. And I think there might be a lingering guilt about that. It's not his fault at all, but I think there might be a lingering guilt. Just like I never wanted to swim in Irving Pool after I had to have the lifeguard pull me out, I think it's kind of a similar thing. So anyway, I've been floating the idea of having a big party there in October, because May and October are the two times in Las Vegas where the weather is perfect. Perfect. And the other week at the drum circle, there's this guy who has done a lot of events in town, Steve, and just a bunch. Everybody knows him. Everybody knows him, and he's just wild. People love him, but he just drives people crazy. Well, anyway, I said to him at the drum circle, I said, "Hey, I was kind of floating this idea of this," and he's like, "Yes," and he's texting me, "We're meeting Wednesday to discuss this," and so we got together on Wednesday, and he's got a lot of contacts, a lot of know-how. I have a lot of creative ideas, and he's trying to suggest that I'm the one in charge. And he's like, he says he'll do everything, but I'm the number one. And I'm like, I think you should be number one. And as it boiled down, I realized, okay, he's driven enough people crazy enough that he needs to suggest it's somebody else's game, I think is actually what it comes down to. But it's intimidating. I mean, it would be like, I don't know, 600 people or more. But the whole idea is to have kind of a Halloween carnival circus theme with theme camps and, of course, bass dancing and camping for 3 days. It'd be the full moon of October. So it'd be like October 11th, 12th, and 13th. And with Burning Man, there's what's called decompression parties, where people go to Burning Man, and it's really amazing. If you don't know anything about it, it's otherworldly. And usually people have this time where they go and they're super excited. They spent so much effort to get there. And it's just like, what am I doing here? And they have like an emotional crash around Wednesday. And then by Thursday afternoon, Friday morning, they're feeling like so good. And there's this normalization of just this absolutely bizarreness. So that normalization is really magical. And then when people are done with the party, they have to go back to the default world. And they still have this lingering lust for that loveliness. And so they have these decompression parties, which are like mini Burning Mans. Well, according to Steve, the term decompression party is actually trademarked. And if you have a decompression party, you can't make any money at it. Well, I don't necessarily need to make money, but he's saying, no, we got to get paid. So I'm like, well, we should make this much. He's like, no, no, we can't make that much. We got to make money, but not that much money. Okay, so apparently we can't call it a decompression party. However, the dates are right where a decompression party would be. And with the full moon, I mean, we're talking like right coming up to the full moon, boom. I mean, perfect time. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be an amazing time if we pull this off, which he's all gung-ho, and he's quite sure we have investors and everything like this. So, like, it's kind of hard to know, like, I mean, he's legit, but he's just so over the top that sometimes it's difficult to gauge, like, what is reality? Anyway, so we were brainstorming ideas and everything that would need to be done and all this stuff. And so he's contacting the person who was in charge of the regional, Burning Man regional that was out there for a few years. And that guy is on point. Really good person. And if we could get him involved, Damien, we would be set. And the reason we would be set is because he's got all the contacts, which he'll give us. But people trust Steve in a certain way, but they trust, like, how can I say this? You could leave your kids with Steve for maybe a couple of days, but if you left your kids with Steve for a week, they would be forever changed. Whereas Damien, you could trust your kid, you could leave your kids with him for a year, and they would be the same, if not better, than they were before. I mean, he's a really good person. Steve's a good person, but Damien is like more of a textbook good person. Anyway, I would just be so proud to be a part of this. Really, I just want the party there because it's so lovely. It was like a little section of Burning Man picked up and put into this wash basin. It was a great place for a burn. And so I had the great idea of having a giant pine cone. I don't know if you know what the pineal gland is, but it's named because it's shaped, well, it looks like a potato to me, but it's shaped like a pine cone. And so there's this idea of the third eye. So the idea of the pine cone as a burn would be like, I can't help but be a little ritually, like a little magic-y in my ways. So the idea would be to have like a pseudo ritual burn that would be activating all of our third eyes. But the reason I came up with the pine cone, and the reason I think it's such a great idea to have that as an object to burn, is because of the spiral shape. The boards used to build it could be arranged such that once it catches fire, it would create this giant vortex, like a fire vortex. And then so there would be a smoke tornado coming off, but then the flames as they go up, it would be like this flaming tornado. Oh, it would be so great, so great, so great. The real tricky thing, though, about it all is that, well, Steve doesn't seem to think it's a tricky idea. You just give people money for theme camps. But like the 2 or 3 years he had something at the regional burn, he put out like an extra $2,000. I mean, that's like some money. And so if it's a for-profit endeavor, people would be less likely to put their full enthusiasm into it. Whereas if it's sort of like, hey, we're just bringing this all together to have a great party, let's do it, who's on board, then people are, if we can capture people's enthusiasm, then we're more likely to get people to bring a lot of creative energy to it. If it's just a party that they have to pay to go to and someone's making money on it, in my opinion, there's more likely this sort of like laissez-faire. Whereas with like the regional people, last year was a little bit so-so, but this year it's a little more expensive. I think they're putting more money into it. And but the couple of years it was here, I mean, people built some fun stuff. Like there was this big saloon one time, and then there was a pirate ship. I mean, I don't know. This would be a first for me. I want to do it. I want to be a person who has brought people together into festivals, but the idea of that work and that sort of ambiguous uncertainty into what goes into it, like, I'm a little nervous, but I think it's a go. I mean, it's not full steam ahead. We're looking into permits and insurance and all the things. We're going to contact Steve's gonna contact Damien and we'll go from there. But I said we should get Alice Cooper. And he's like, oh yeah, we can get Alice Cooper. We can get him for 5,000 for sure. I mean, like, that's a little unrealistic. I said, oh yeah, we should get Rob Zombie too. He's like, oh yeah, we can do it. We can do it for 10 grand. I'm like, there's no way we can get Rob Zombie for 10 grand. I bet it would cost 30 grand to get him out there with security and everything. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But anyway, it's fun to brainstorm for this big visually creative thing. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you go to Franco Dragone's website and just look at it. You need to have a good internet connection, but it's one of the best websites I've ever seen. I'm only telling you that because that's one of my areas of study for this conceptualism. Also, Tim Burton, Beetlejuice. That's going to be another conceptual feast. I found a copy of it at the thrift store yesterday, and me and this lady who is also involved in the putting this on, we're going to watch that and take visual notes. Anyway, I hope you're well. Oh, and a shout out. I have fans now. I have subscribers, which is actually really a big honor. So, Pearl Harbor, here's a shout out to you. Oh, but what is your name, darling? I've forgotten your real name that you wanted me to shout out. Next time. Okay, God bless you. May you be well.